You ever been working alongside your boss and feel like you were jailed? As if you have to get permission for everything, like you owe your boss, simply because he gave you a position in his company and rewards you with a piece of his profit while he keeps the larger percentage. Here's Inza. From the last video, we found out about his tiring job routine. Why would someone who hates his job routine decide to wake up and go there again and again? As if it's a programmed robot, given life settings to do the exact same thing every day at exact times. Well, you could also ask, why would he hate his job routine that makes him look better than a street beggar who wishes to be like him and have access to money and buy whatever he wants? Mr. Van owns a pharmacy down the town. It is one of his various businesses which Enza works at. Mr. Van really has no time to be valid at all times. He has other several businesses to attend to, so he leaves his employee to run it for him. However, they're always arguing over anything. But if Enza is so bad at his job, then why does Mr. Van have him work for him for almost 3 years? Enza obeys rules, keep up with the time, and is a coachable worker. He might not be strategic enough with his work, but he is a good servant. Mr. Van looks at him as an honest and good follower, regardless of him not possessing the characteristics of leadership. He knows how to follow instructions given by Mr. Van. That makes him reliable as a follower, not a leader. That's the only trait keeping him grounded for long. The difference between them two is simple. One is a leader and the other is a follower. Mr. Van looks at his pharmacy business as a profit. Enza looks at it as a salary. Mr. Van, when he arrives at work, he thinks, how many risks should I take? Enza arrives, he is thinking, how do I keep my job safe? Mr. Van is thinking costs. His stock and equipment used must create profit. Enza is thinking fair pay. His time and performance must create a deserved paycheck. Mr. Van is buying Enza's time for that paycheck. So Enza is part of the costs, which is why he will get into trouble if he makes no profit for the company. This means Enza is indirectly responsible for creating the business profit, while Mr. Van collects the profit and is only responsible for maintaining the system by the purchase of stock, equipment, and Enza's time. This is the system designed by Mr. Van. Enza is only part of the system, and that system keeps him in a stable place that he likes, but stable position means stable salary as well. That's how it works. Enza is inside the system. He only sees the internal parts, the stability and safety of the business, like a game character who is getting controlled in a video game. Mr. Van, however, sees the external part, the investments, the upside and downs of the business every month, margins, revenue, like he is the one with the game controller and is in charge of the settings. This forces Mr. Van to think in long terms. He asked himself, how big will this business be in 5 years? Enza, on the other hand, thinks in short term. Will I get a raise next month? Will he promote me next year? They are both in the same building almost every day, but are in different worlds with different imagination, different experiences, and very different view of the pharmacy, as if they don't work for the same business. They work for the same company, but are in different systems. Enza knows work equals salary. If I don't go to work, I won't pay rent and food. Mr. Van knows work equals profit. If I don't open my store, I won't buy stock and maintain equipment. Enza wakes every morning and asks, will I survive in this job? Is my effort worth my pay? Mr. Van wakes up and asks, is my employee adding value to my system? Will my business survive? Mr. Van, as the owner of the system, knows Enza's mindset. He knows his mind is very used to the system he created, and he cannot question anything. The salary is meant to keep him around long enough to survive, but never enough to build his own system. Enza knows this is a stuck position, but his survive mentality keeps him around. He knows if he quits, we won't pay rent or buy alcohol and cigarettes. But that's just a cycle that keeps him in the same position he started. No growth, no evolution. He just hit the ceiling. Mr. Van is aware of this, and he uses it to his advantage. Like a fisherman who kept a bait for a fish, once the fish is baited, he gets used. Enza is trapped in a 30-day cycle. Salary is the bait. His work hours are an asset to Mr. Van. Mr. Van trusts him in his system that he can leave and attend his other cosmetic store. Back then, he used to have an employee, Naki. From the last video, we learned she had gambling habits, but she used to work for Mr. Van. Mr. Van used to enjoy working with Naki more than Enza. They'd both talk business, profit, risk, market position, output, and ownership. It was as if they were business partners than boss and employee. They both would strategize how the cosmetic store can take over the town's market and be the best. She would often initiate sales plans, merchandise new products, advertise new combos, and this made the store booming. She would often come late and open the store late, but Mr. Van excused her simply because of her approach to run the store. She would sometimes even rearrange Mr. Van's original plan and do this her own way. Mr. Van would sometimes get angry at this because he is used to lead and place the rules. She was a challenge but a key player at the same time. She might not follow all of his strategies, but she would at least create profit. Mr. Van was often confused if she is challenging his authority or is making his business gain profits. Mr. Van knew she has similar mentality to his, and he felt as if his system is being changed. She might be a good manager, but it is still Mr. Van's business, Mr. Van's system that he spent years building. They would argue over changes if the business starts lagging. This made Naki start to feel as if she has to follow orders and not use too much of her own ideas. This is restricting to someone who is built to create a system. She knew following Mr. Van's system means not having to access her own, so she quitted the day her new pitched idea was rejected by Mr. Van. To her, this meant she can't give ideas to change the system, only ideas to grow Mr. Van's system. She had the seed, but the garden isn't hers. She owns no system. She realized this and left the cosmetic company to start her own. She started by gambling to raise more funds. Enza confronted her. To him, leaving the job means she lost her safety, her salary, her stability, her survival, and her income stream is gone. Enza sees this as a loss. Naki saw it as freedom, like a bird that gained wings and started to fly. Enza was still stuck in his employee mentality. However, Naki evolved into self-employment mentality. She now has her own free will to establish her ideas without any authority or restriction. Enza is still an employee. He is still safe. His salary is guaranteed. However, he is still eating from the nest on a tree built by Mr. Van. His system is not based on growth. It is based on survival. He is afraid to gain his wings and fly out. That feels more harder than staying in the nest. Mr. Van's system is part of his routine. Work and get paid is his normal. Naki here, her salary isn't guaranteed. However, she has wings to think however the way she wants. She's not part of the system. Like a bird on air, it has a better view of the tree when it leaves the nest. She gambles and puts money on her savings. To her, building momentum on her idea is more normal than stability without growth. The owner of the casino where she gambles is an investor. Unlike Mr. Van, not only is Carla the owner of a system, she put money on several systems, and they run to passively create money for her. Carla is not interested in controlling a system. She prefers to fund systems and let them control themselves. She has a funding program or students. She works with her husband to lend money on property investments. She gives out loan for anyone trying to start a business. In the casino, she used her overall net worth to give the casino gambling machines under her name. In a casino, she would often have conversations with Naki. They talk business growth, freedom, and expansion. But the difference is Naki wants to involve her ideas and physically be there to control active income. Carla wants to give funds to ideas and let them grow even if she's not there, passive income. She investments on an idea, like a planted seed. She only adds water and let the seed evolve without claiming ownership, only involvement. Which is why she was able to lend Naki money to start her business under discussed agreements. Naki agrees to this and begins to run her small market of self-made products she tried to pitch to Mr. Van. Naki first had challenges learning to fly on her own, but Carla always had her bag until her breakthrough year and a half later. She is now better than Enza, who still has the same salary since she left. That is growth and momentum. Mr. Van is a business owner. His main characteristics are power, leadership, and control. He has no interest in teaching someone to have their own power, because he is the boss. Naki is a self-employed individual. She might not have employees like Mr. Van, but her characteristics are control, freedom, and creativity. Enza is a regular employee. His characteristics are safety, adaptability, and agreeability. Carla was able to set a stage for Naki's growth. She gives platform by funding people who wants to create a system. She is an investor. Her characteristics are wisdom, growth, and prosperity. Boss needs employee, and employee needs boss. Self-employed need aid from investors. Investors aid self-employed and some bosses. All these individuals are in the same city, and each are living in systems very different to each other. Thank you. Subscribe for more.